people seem to think that you take color images and then you make a black and white. My analogy of that is, if you're speaking proper English or French or any other language, you don't think it in English and then translate it.
Greetings everybody, it's Jik-Reuben the Visual Ninja. Welcome to another episode of Focal Point. Today we're downtown and we're at the Swiss store, which is the home of two lovely places, the FnB Downtown and also the Phang Sang Art Gallery. Welcome Craig Phang. How are you?
I'm good.
Tell me something. I've been looking at your work for the past 3 years and I've seen you grown. I've seen I've seen you black and white on Facebook, then I started seeing you in different gallery spaces and different stores and stuff. And I'm really, taken back by, just how great your work is. Tell me a little bit about your background, because I know from previous conversations that photography isn't your first passion.
Well, it actually started out in the broadcast industry. And what that is was producing, directing, creating, TV commercials, radio commercials, documentaries, short features, all of that. I did that for nearly, that's what I came back to Jamaica to do. And that was maybe 10 years. And then I branched out and started going in my own side of the business. And I used to work more on the feature films, foreign companies coming in wanting to do commercials. Same sort of thing, but more on an international level. And then I moved from that into the sales of the equipment to the broadcast and the film industry. And I missed the creative side, and that's why I picked up the digital camera. And I didn't want to have to go through the whole huge crews and so forth, and just explore that side of me. And then that was the start of where I am today.
So Craig, you're known as, I know you more as a black and white photographer. Why black and white?
I've always liked black and white as far as I can remember. But what was happening to me is I'd be working on a lot of films or productions, and we'd go back there 3 months, 6 months, a year after, and everything that we shot, both the locations or the people that disappeared, die, or got mashed up, smashed up, or they just changed them so much that I was seeing Jamaica, we were losing a lot of Jamaica. And because of that, I just started to shoot and I say, you know what? Black and white actually fits this because it would then be timeless. If I die in another 10 years or 5 years or 20 or 50 years, whatever it may be, I could leave this humongous catalog of how I saw Jamaica. So to create it timeless, I kept it in the timeless format, which is black and white.
Nice. Take us through your process, if you have an exact process that you use on your images.
Well, process. It doesn't start as a technical process for me. It actually starts as trying to find a way that if I'm in a location and I wanted to shoot something, how could I tell that story in one frame? So, versus moving pictures, which was what my background was and what I went to school for. And so I would look at the image, look at the location or the person or whatever, and I think about what it is that I wanted to do. And then from there, everything falls into place. So both all the technical side and so forth.
So would you consider yourself successful?
My journey is about me. People measure success solely on money. I am happy that I can explore my passion and people actually want to buy what I love to do. So I believe I'm successful in the sense that I am achieving what I set out to achieve.
And tell us some of the places that you have had your work displayed in.
I've done numerous shows. I have somewhere in Miami that actually in Kendall that shows some of my stuff. It's up and down in terms of how many pieces there are not. And I use these places not to sell what I put up, but to first show people what I'm capable of. And what happens is, in each location that I have a set of pictures, it generates interest, and then they call me. When they call me and I show them the catalog of what exists, then it starts to grow beyond what they even thought that they wanted at first.
That's interesting. Talk to us about your relationship with the Swiss store.
Well, it started out because the owner here, Uli, actually he's Swiss and he loved black and white. And I mean, I think we on this side of the world are just trying to grasp what black and white really is. But in Europe and all of that side of the world, black and white is a staple in both in decorating and how things are done. So they're way ahead of us in grasping the artistic side of what this is. So he actually got a few first just to decorate the place, and then he called me one day and he says, Craig, why don't we make a gallery down here? Because, you know, we have a great market of people, we can educate them as to what black and white was and so forth. And it's been, I'm not sure how long I've been here now, it's been a couple of years. They sell from here. I send people here so that they can see a good idea of what it is on the walls and so forth.
Yeah. And I realize there's a rise of locations like these being used for galleries. It's different from apart from like a National Gallery or a Sana. Why do you think that is so? Like, why are people doing that?
Well, everybody is trying to showcase their work. Where do you do that? How do you do that? The younger people can put up one picture amongst, you know, say 20 or 30, whoever, like Sana, they would say 20 or 30 people might have one piece and they can put it in. They get a chance for people to explore what it is, and then I guess they can contact them afterwards.
I was once at a gallery, well, an exhibition at a gallery, and someone said to me, after looking at a black and white photo, that black and white photography is a cop-out for people who can edit color images. What's your take on that?
Well, that's interesting, because people seem to think that you take color images and then you make a black and white. My analogy of that is, if you're speaking proper English or French or any other language, you don't think it in English and then translate it over into that. You actually think in Spanish, think in French. I actually see in black and white. I'm not colorblind. I look for things specific to black and white that tells me that this works for
and
what
I think we have a similar eye for that.
Right, right. So I'm a commercial photographer too. So people ask me, so you only do black and white? No, but that's what I show.
Jump in the ship, that was my next question.
Right.
So tell us about the other stuff that you do.
Well, companies and individuals call me specifically to do something for a wall or something for a calendar or something for a website or whatever that may be, you know, and you don't get credit for that. You get paid, and that's fine.
You slip it in the pocket and move on.
Yes, that is just a part of the business. But one of the issues is with photographers generally is they're not known for anything. They're known as a picture guy, so they stay at a particular level. You know, I've marketed myself different, that I am specific to black and white. And when people see the black and white and they see the consistency in my work, then they say, but he can do anything. If he can do this, he can do anything that we want. And the truth is, I don't always have the time to do all these things that they want, regardless of money. I am only doing things that I want to do. It doesn't matter how much you pay me. Right? And it sounds a little arrogant, but as an artist, you need to stick to your core.
That's a guideline for yourself.
Right, and that's a part of what I do.
Definitely. Let's talk a little bit about your equipment business. Talk to me about that. When did that start?
Well, that started out a long time ago. What was happening was, while I was doing production and I was head of a company owned by somebody else, what was happening was that we used to use 3/4 inch pneumatic tapes, and it was very difficult. It was very difficult to actually get the tape put in the machine because Stanley Motor was supposedly the dealer for Sony, and you had 3M. I didn't like the actual tapes at all. And then you had the guys that would be bringing them in from time to time, and none of them were. It wasn't consistent, and you can't be running a bus service and wondering where you're going to be getting gas. So I went direct to Sony and started to buy tapes from them, and then import them for myself. And people started getting word that I had tapes, so they would call me, can you sell me a box or one or two? And it kind of just started from there. And Sony said to me, why don't you apply for the dealership? And I said, well, isn't Stanley Motor the dealer? And they said, who's Stanley Motor? So they had this huge banner and branding of Sony, and they were just buying retail and selling it back in Jamaica. So I started from there with tapes, and then for years the equipment guys kept banging on my door. They kept hearing about Phang Sang, and they asked me if I wanted to be dealer for the equipment, and I told them no. For like, I don't know, maybe 6 years, and they kept asking me why. I said, it's just too much headache. I'll do what I do now. I'll come to you, I'll buy what I need, and then I will resell it whoever needed it. And what happened was that a lot of large projects were coming up with the TV stations, and they said, but listen, we really need somebody in Jamaica who will set up a repair facility along with the dealership. And if you're prepared to do that, then we are prepared to sign and make you become the rep in Jamaica. So I eventually signed on with because of these projects that were coming up, and I actually, and it's a big deal, I actually have 2 Sony dealerships.
Nice.
And that's almost unheard of. It's not normal around the rest of the world.
So when you say 2, what exactly?
Well, one is recording media and energy, which is everything you can record on, which is whether it's data or tapes. Tapes are slowly going, but it's still being used. So it can be LTO discs, it can be DVDs, CDs, but not music. That's actually another division. I don't want to get into that. So that being one, and it includes batteries. Everything's Sony. And then you have the equipment side, which is all the TV and film type gear, so to speak. All the cameras from, I don't know, $1,500 up to $200,000 US dollars, for a camera. And I can match or beat any price anywhere in the world, plus give them the warranty. I know that sounds like a lot of hogwash, but I challenge anybody to go get their paper from anywhere else in the world. Let us spec out what they have, cut off the top. I don't care who they're getting it from, and then we'll sort out whatever, because Sony backs me. They're here 4 times a year minimum.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
And they come in and we support, we'll train, we'll do everything, but it's not a box thing. If you want it tomorrow morning, then I'm not the person for you. If you want us for the long term, and we help you
can make
plan,
an arrangement. And
yes, and we plan for you for the entire year. So whatever company you are, and you say, listen, we're looking in 6 months down the line to do this project. And we try to plan and do all of that.
So Craig, tell us about some of the places do you have your work at display?
Okay, so I have a place in Miami, on Kendall. It's a restaurant. I have at my office at 11 Worthington, which I also, not only do I have some hung on the walls, I have about 200 images that are in 4 portfolios that you can flip through. The catalog is probably about 1,500 images total, probably, maybe more.
Wow.
Then of course, the Swiss stores here and FnB, and also there is a place on South Avenue, a Kerry Man Woman Home. She has about, I think, 6 or 9 pieces there, and she moves people towards me, and we try to spec for their home, whatever it is.
And that's good.
And what's interesting is, I have to set up these displays, and most people think about selling what's on display. My focus is not selling on what's on display. It's nice when you do. It's actually getting people to come, look at it, appreciate what it is, and say, I want this one on canvas. I want it on this. I want
so
it
it's
bigger.
customized.
Yes. So it's specific to the wall, the spot, wherever it is.
So it's not something you're going to a Rapid True Value and
No,
purchase
and that's kind of why I don't have it being sold online.
Yeah.
You have to actually contact me. And remember, every piece is a limited edition.
Yeah.
It's numbered.
Yeah.
It's signed by me. You get a certificate of authenticity. I put you in a registry.
It's a real deal.
And, well, we're trying to get people to understand that it's a lot more than just a photograph.
Yeah.
It's actually something that's collectible
Yeah,
because
it's a
even
piece
the
of art.
papers, right?
Just like any other form of art.
Yes. And I do something a little different. If God forbid your house burns down, I will actually, and it's registered, which it should be, I will actually reprint it for you at a nominal cost.
Look at
and
that.
Put back the original numbers on it and everything, and you can hang it again back in your location.
Nice, nice. So Craig, you have a series that I really like. It involves nature and the perfect placement of the female form. Talk to me about that series.
Obviously, also one of my favorite sets, body of work. I, in keeping with my mandate of showing off Jamaica always at its best, I look, when I'm traveling Jamaica and I find a really beautiful location and I can see a composition of a beautiful female form there, I will actually then find one of the models that I have
on a long list.
On a long list. It's actually almost 60 women right now at this point waiting for me to shoot.
Wow.
And it's very humbling that so many people want to work with me and that they trust in me not to reveal their identities and to create a beautiful art piece that they too can also have.
Yeah.
And I will then take them to this location. And the thing about it, what makes it a little bit different is the focus is not about the woman, but about the image.
That's what I think I love a lot about it, because it's not just, oh, blatant naked lady in front of you, then background. It's she is juxtaposed so beautifully that she blends.
Right. And some of them are actually almost hidden.
Yeah.
So when you see the image, you actually have to stop and look at it.
Like there's one specific one that I really liked, and it was a river scene. There were rocks, and what made me notice there was a female in the image was that my eye focused on some fruits, and I was like, why this rock looks? And I was like, wait, that's a woman.
So that specific shot, I use some of the. I'm not bound by all the rules of photography, and I don't break them just because I feel I need to break them. But in this particular one, I'm using something called leading lines. And although it's not a straight line, I'm using the rocks from the left of the picture, taking you to the right side. But when you reach to the right side, the shape of her body also is almost like it was a rock.
Yeah.
And I put the fruits there just as for you to, when you take that pan across, you cannot, whoa, what's this? And then you see the woman right behind it.
It's beautiful.
You know? So that's another one, and there's tons more that to come that I just have to get.
So I have to ask, so in these projects of yours, how does it work? What's the agreement made with the models? Is that you pay them, or don't you have a long list and it's like, oh, I'll come and shoot for it? How does it work out?
Well, the thing about it is, I'm theoretically supposed to pay them, and what happens is this: they come and they don't want any money. They just want to be a part of one of my projects. That doesn't always work that way though. And what I do is I actually give them a commission of everyone that is sold.
Okay, so you give them a commission.
Right.
Okay, and that would be based on each model, I guess, or you have a set?
No, I have a set amount that I will pay regardless of what it is, and for each picture, it seems like a small amount. It's not when you start adding up to what it is, and they're not really expecting it because they just enjoy being a part of.
And do they as well get a print?
Yes, they're allowed one print of what it is, and it's negotiable or whatever else that might come. And there's a couple of them that have their prints, and they actually have it up in their room.
Nice, nice. That's beautiful.
And the other thing about it is, I always thought that as I have seen nude imagery over the years, it's always been done in a dark studio. And there's something about that that goes against my grain. Because it's almost like you're saying, I need to hide to do this. And that was the main purpose of me going out, not just to show Jamaica and a Jamaican woman, but to also just show people that this is something that is just another beautiful thing, and it shouldn't be hidden. It should be something that's just out there.
Totally agree. Totally agree. We've spoken at length about your black and white work, you know, your history in, you know, the production life, and you know, your equipment business. Talk to me about this new color series that is just the newest wave from Craig.
Well, it really is a wave because it's been doing very, very well. It's been well accepted. What happened was I was approached by a hotel to create some images, a new place. And I started to think about some concepts for it. And this was one of the concepts. And when I showed it to them, they were a little bit apprehensive about it. And I shot something, and just one image, and showed them, and they said, "Can we see some other things?" And I shot the other thing. They loved it, and I said, "You know, I really feel strongly about this, and I think you should think about using it." They took about 2 weeks, got back to me, and they loved it. They integrated both shoots into it. But that was only a part of it because it fell at a particular time when I was already thinking, what should I be doing to start to introduce some color imagery? Because it's not everywhere that color will fit when you start decorating, right? And so I thought to myself, well, what do I have to compete against? And it's there are three basic parts of three art forms out there, which is photography, drawing, and painting. And people are already thinking, because I'm a resolution, I'm a contrast, that my stuff is drawing, is a drawing. You know, so many pieces, they come up real close, they examine it, and they say, "What is this? Is this a drawing? Is this a pen? Is this pencil? What is it?" You know, and we have to explain to them. But I started thinking, okay, so I kind of have some of that, and people are embracing it for one as photography, one as a line drawing or pencil drawing. So how do I get into the paint guy's world? And then I thought to myself, well, I'm not a painter. So maybe what we can do is to maintain the true form of photography. Suppose we painted people, then photograph. And so I got in touch. I met this young lady over Instagram, and funny enough, I just love the brush strokes that was in this flower that she did. Just a flower, just a simple flower with the colors. And I called up, I messaged her, and then I said, "Listen, I have a project I want us to play around with." And she agreed to do it for a fee. And we started, sat down with this model, and just started painting. And all I did was I just sat beside her and I said, "No, you need to add more of this, more of that. The color, you need to add more color here." And then do the build up, because it had to have a 3D feel to it. So it's not just painted on, it's actually caked on, so to speak, in certain areas to have that, you know. And then, so we went back. I love how it came out, and went back and we set up a shoot with both the male and the female. And it took about 2 hours each to put on the paint on each
4 hours in total.
In there. And then we shot, I don't know, until about midnight, so maybe another 7 to 10 hours. I don't even remember. But I know we started early in the morning, and at midnight we were just wrapping up. So from that I got these images, maybe about 10 images, maybe a few more. I need to go back through it again. But I picked out maybe about 10 images now, and there's probably more. But this shows, I think, enough range. And I've done 3 shows so far, art shows around in the last couple of months, and it's well received, and it has done very well. And I brought a few pieces here, and they're up inside of FnB here now.
Craig, we had a really good talk. Thank you so much for inviting us down here to the Swiss store to look at your lovely pieces, and I hope we get to speak very soon. You know, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, my pleasure.
People, thank you for staying tuned for Focal Point, and we'll see you next time.